Hey guys, what's up? It's Justin, aka Diego, and I'm here to help you guys out with your threat because I've gotten a lot of emails about people concerned and having issues with their threat. And I figure if there's a small handful of people who are having issues with their threat, there are people that haven't emailed me that are having issues, and there are also people that don't know about me that are having issues. So I'm going to try to help you guys out with your threat. And let's just talk about real quick the basics of tanking. When everything's boiled down, you get down to the nitty gritty fucking basic core facts about tanking. We have two jobs. One is to stay alive, and two is to make sure whatever we're supposed to have threat on, we have threat on and attacks us and no one else. Known as, by the tanking community, aggression, or aggro for short. So, talking about that, we're going to talk about a couple ways to increase your threat and how to increase your threat. And I'm not going to be talking about like prot DPS. I'm going to be talking about, how to still be a tank. You're still basically going to be gemming stamina, but how to get those gear pieces that are going to increase your threat. So when we talk about threat, there's basically four ways to increase your threat. One is gear, obviously. Second is your spec, enchants, and gems. If you really wanted to, you could actually get away with gemming strength, but we're not going to be talking about that too much. So just for this video, let's just assume that we're gemming stamina like a normal tank should. Anyway, so those are the four basic ways to increase your threat. So just to lay some ground rules about threat values and what's a good amount of expertise to have and a good amount of hit to have. Basically, your threat stats, when determining if a piece is a threat piece, tanks really should have about two sets of gear. One is a threat set, and the other is a progression type set. And it's pretty easy to determine what is what. If it basically has hit or expertise on it, it's pretty much a threat piece. If it doesn't have either of those, it pretty much falls into the progression category. Because progression, you want to have a very high chance to survive, and basically you do that through your armor and your stamina and stuff like that. So, but anyway, a good amount of expertise to have. Threat values. The best threat value you could have is soft expertise cap, which is 26. So for anyone, it's 26. I'm pretty sure it is. So for tanks, I know for sure it's 26. So you want to, at least in every gear set, aside maybe from progression, but while you're trying to get more threat, you want to ensure you always have 26 expertise rating. So put that fact in the back of your head. Now after that, it's hit, which is 8%. So after you get soft expertise cap, you want to build your hit up while still maintaining soft expertise cap. And then once you get 8%, it flips back to expertise, and you build that back up to hard cap, which is, I believe, I should look this up, I believe it's 59. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 59. So it's expertise, then hit, then back to expertise. So you always want to keep those in mind while you're trying to get more threat gear and increase your threat. So let's talk about spec real quick. Let's pull up the spec that I use before we compare some gear. This is a spec that I use for threat, and I just want to point out a few notable things. You'll see that Reckoning is maxed out, and I've said in my other videos that Reckoning is not a strong threat talent, but it's a double-edged sword. You gotta keep that in mind. If you're low on hit and low on expertise, meaning progression type gear, it's pretty bad for threat because you can't ensure all those extra swings are going to connect, which isn't a good thing. But on the adverse side, if you have a lot of expertise and you are hit capped, it becomes an amazing threat talent. It actually, I stole this spec. This is not a spec that I came up with myself, but this spec is from a guy named Mallory, something similar to it. And in his type of gear, Reckoning actually did more damage and threat than Crusade did. So keep that in mind. So when you actually have those high ends of hit and expertise, Reckoning actually becomes a really good threat talent. So a couple other noticeable things that that I don't have, that you'll see that I don't have, is Judgments of the Just. This is because it'll actually increase the amount of Reckoning procs that you have, and also Judgments of the Just doesn't have any threat talents amplified to it, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about threat. So is this good for progression? Absolutely fucking not. This is a pretty bad spec for progression. But for threat with the ICC buff and healers healing 30% more and you having 30% more stamina, you could get away with not specking Judgment of the Just and Vindication. Again, Vindication, survivability talent, has no threat amplified to it, no threat amplifications. So there's no real need to spec it for farm content. For progression, again, not a good way to go. But so I took those points and put them here. Seal of Command paired with Reckoning. If you have 4 or 5 mobs on you and you have Seal of Command up, it's Reckoning has like 100% uptime, and it's literally you could AFK, go make a sandwich, and fucking still hold threat. It's a pretty big joke. Those two in conjunction. So I mean, I use this for my 5-man specs. I use this for everything but Heroic Lich King. So literally for the what is it, 10 bosses? I think there's 11. So the 10 bosses in Ice Crown, I use this spec and it's done fine. 30% is tough, guys. 30% buff is tough. That's what I always say. So when we're comparing gear, let's keep those thoughts in the back of our head. We want to have soft expertise cap. After that, we want to have hit cap. After we have both of those, we want more expertise. So I just pulled up. There's the tier 10 gloves, 277. These drop in somewhere in Ice Crown 25 heroic. These are the vendor gloves, and these are the somewhere in Ice Crown 10. So don't really look at the item level too much. If you guys don't have access to this, it doesn't really matter because the concepts are still basically the same. Soft expertise cap, hit cap, and then back to more expertise. So when looking at this gear, if you need the hit and your soft expertise capped, obviously you're going to want to get the gloves. Now, if you don't have soft expertise cap, these are obviously the way to go. But say you do have soft expertise cap and you have hit gear, and you have hit cap, sorry. These are good because they're going to give you more expertise. Now, keep this in mind. If you equip these and you lose your hit cap, because say you had the gloves on, say you had something like that. Now, if you lose that hit cap, that's not a threat upgrade. So you want to make sure you still have the hit gear. So once you get some other hit pieces, maybe like here's one thing I want to say about hit. Hit is a widely more abundant stat in Ice Crown than expertise is. So it's a lot more likely that you're going to be struggling with that expertise than you will with the hit, because there's hit basically in almost every slot in Ice Crown Citadel. So it's a lot easier to find that hit than it is to find the expertise. So if you run the risk of losing your hit cap, switching on, getting more expertise gear, just wait until you get those other hit pieces before you start stacking on all the expertise. You can't equip it right away. So keep that in mind. And that's the basic gist of it. You don't really want to look at all the other stuff. I mean, yeah, strength is going to increase your threat, but more so it's going to be the hit and expertise, more so. It's really paladin dependent, really depending on what type of gear you got. So, and then comparing the legs, you got the Pillars of Might, which are off the badge vendor. These drop somewhere in ICC 10 heroic, and then the tiers 277 legs, and then off of Marigard 25 heroic. So obviously the same type of concepts. If you need to hit, obviously the legs are got a ton of hit on them, and those are a really good route to go if you need the hit. Now if you don't need the hit, the tier legs are amazing, or even these legs, I forget where these drop, but these are really good as well for the expertise if you need those. Yeah, so that's basically it. If you're going to lose hit, if you're going to lose your hit cap at the cost of putting on more expertise, just wait until you get more hit pieces. But always ensure that you have at least soft expertise cap for threat. That's the strongest stat you could have is soft expertise cap, which again is 26. So that's basically it. So keep those things in mind. You want soft expertise cap. After that, you want hit cap, and then after that, you want to get more expertise, but not at the cost of losing your hit cap. And then just to talk about weapon enchants real quick. If you need hit still, you go with accuracy, which is pretty. It's 25 hit and 25 crit. So it's not really good for threat on the crit part, but if you need the hit's pretty good. But if you don't need the hit, you go with something like Mongoose. You even go potency if you really wanted to. And if you're super crazy like I am, you go berserking. And people might lol at that, but it's actually fucking an amazing threat chant. But so it really only loses 5% armor when it procs. It's not that big of a deal. With come on, 30% buff is tough. I'll say it again. It's not fucking rocket science. So Mongoose is pretty good, and accuracy is pretty good, and then potency maybe. So those are just some ideas. What do you guys think about that? Hopefully that'll help you guys out. That'll give you guys a little bit more clarification of how to do threat or the basic concepts. I built the core for you. I built the foundation. Now you guys need to go out there and do it. Obviously everything's still. You still got to use your 969 rotation properly. That's above and probably most important thing. But so assuming you're still using 969 rotation, those are some ideas to increase your threat further. So that's been the Diego 101 threat fucking thing video. Whatever. I'll see you guys next time. Later. You gonna do yard work right now? Yeah? Cool. That's fucking awesome. You guys fucking hear that? This guy's gonna be there all day. I'm gonna have to do this video later. What an asshole. What an asshole. Are you done? Alright. Alright, so what was I saying?